This is like the worst spot to be in because the shoulder is so freaking narrow too. I just had to call 911 because the tow service doesn't take you off the highway. All right, so we are back today working on the Escalade again. And when we last left off, we found some minor issues with the engine. Pretty much what I thought was a collapsed lifter causing the awful tick turned out being a collapsed valve seat. Like the valve seat fell out of the head. It was flopping around between the valve and the part of the head where it used to live. And that's where this thing's pretty much been sitting. I sent the heads off to Head Games. They were gone through. We did some upgrades. I'll show you those in a second. But we're finally back, ready to put this thing back together. And by the end of the video, it should be out and about on its first test drive. And as always, if you're new here, click the link at the top of the screen. That's going to bring you to my Escalade playlist. I have 2 more videos on this thing. So I picked it up from auction. We kind of did a walk around, saw what it needed. Second video got us where we are now, pulled the heads off, discovered the valve seat weirdness. And today, yeah, we finally got everything back and we're going to be putting it back together and seeing if it actually drives. So this is kind of what's been going on. Like somehow water has been just making its way under the hood and sort of kind of into the engine. We got a little surface rust, that's not really nothing. But back here, these cylinders were filling up with water pretty significantly. So you can see my advanced engineering actually worked to keep the water out. But we got some work to do. We need to get the block cleaned up. We got to get our new lifters in, then we can finally plop the head gaskets on, plop the heads on. But before that, let me take you over to Head Games and I'll show you what we found with those heads. All right guys, so I'm over at Head Games Motorworks right now. I got the Escalade heads over here. Dave is about to take a look at them. We're gonna pull them apart and see what exactly happened to that valve seat. You may remember Head Games from previous videos. Dave actually did the heads on my Camaro, and he recently did Tahiti's heads that are all ready for boost. So right now we're gonna just take a look at these, see what's going on, see if this head can be saved. Worst case, we'll just grab a junkyard head and then Dave will work his magic on both of these. But here's our problem area. Dave, take it away.
I've never seen anything like this happen in all my years. So this is a press fit. These valve seats usually, they are bigger than the hole. So that way when they go in, they press fit in there and they never come out. But somehow, some way this came out. But if you'll notice how clean the outside is, so I'm hoping is we're going to knock one of the valves out, maybe pop the seat out, and we can measure it and see what the press fit actually was. Now, I wouldn't normally knock this apart with a socket and a hammer, but we're not going to reuse anything here.
Look at that, right out.
Right out. You also notice, if you look at the tips of these valves, you can see, you see how it's like rolled over? See how it's like rolled over? Yeah. So this tells me that there was some valve float going on here. You can feel like some of these are concaved inside the center of the valve, and that's totally from valve float. So I don't know what the guy was doing before you, but he definitely wasn't being nice to it. Oh, it would help if I took out the right side. If I took out the right valve. Oh, it looks like it hit the retainer too. So the rocker was hitting the retainer here.
Yeah, the rocker was completely blown apart. Like the trunnions were all sitting in the head.
So, look at that. That is clean. Like it's clean out of there.
Still in there, just wedged in there.
Yeah. Let's see if we can pry it out. I have a screwdriver.
Like I was just doing some research online. There's like a few like apparently it's really rare, but like other people have had the same thing happen. But usually, it just destroys everything. Like pieces fall off, the piston gets annihilated, the head gets.
Well, you're really lucky that it stayed where it did. Because normally, yes, it would just leave the chat and then you would be screwed. But.
Oh wow.
So normally this would be probably like 5 to like 8 thousandths of press fit. And obviously that was not the case here, but we can measure it. Look how clean that seat bore is.
It's crazy. You think it would be all marred up.
You would think that this thing, well, the light and all won't work now. Man, that thing should be all marred up, but that tells me that it's definitely a loose fit. So I'm not going to go through the effort of trying to measure it with mics or anything. We're just going to caliper this dude because it's obviously messed up. So the snap gauge comes in, you bring a tension here, and now you don't have to worry about if you have the right tension.
It's just like spring loaded, right? So
exactly. So it's going to go against here, and so it has these like little round piece here. That way,
then you just lock the measurement in place.
Exactly. So we're at a caliper, and we're at 2204, and we're going to measure the seat. And as you can see, we are about thousandths smaller than the valve seat register. Now you should actually have, I mean, like we like to use maybe 5 to 7 thousandths of press, and here you have 1. You can see where it would just come out. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it on the seat and guide machine, well, after it's cleaned, disassembled, and all that good stuff. And we have to get a new valve seat because we need to know the outside diameter of whatever valve seat we're actually gonna use. They're not a universal fit. You're not gonna go to Chevy and purchase a valve seat. You have to purchase it from a manufacturer, and they don't make sizes just for the LS. It's like a universal thing. And then you're gonna set a cutter that will go on a pilot. This is the cutter fixture. So normally, again, we're just doing this to show, but the fixture would go on here. You would set this to the size of the valve seat, and then you would be able to cut it. So all of that stuff is done by a pilot. The pilot centers the cutter from the guide to the valve seat, and then when you do it, this will go on the machine, and then the machine would cut it to whatever size you're looking for. And then you're going to the 10th. So you're going to go to like, to probably like maybe the nearest thousandths is about as close as you want to get it. And then the other issue is seat materials, because not all manufacturers are going to give you the stuff that you really want. There is some manufacturers that we actually have them here as junk seats. So if we have something that's junk, we'll put them in there. But if it's something high performance, or if it's something for Matt, we're going to want to put a decent material in there. We're going to want to run a ductile iron. Ductile iron cuts really nice, and it looks very good when it's done with it, and the durability is just second to none. So you know how it's showing you the top of the valve, and you can see the discoloration, like right in the center there. So that is from valve float. What happens is now the valve is floating, and what it means basically is going to bounce, and it's going to hit the rocker. It's going to beat stuff up, and that's when you start seeing real weird wear patterns, and you can see it on the edge here too. But when you take the valve out, you can see it on the 45-degree angle, and it beats the 45-degree angle into the valve seat. So you see like there's a ledge here.
Yeah.
Right, so the ledge would make it, so now the height is going to change. It's going to keep going up, and then you keep losing spring pressure, and you lose spring pressure until it comes apart.
All right, so we were talking off camera, and once again, you guys know me while we're in there. We decided to do some upgrades, not go crazy with it, because I'm not planning on camming this. Like I said, this is supposed to be a daily driver, but there are some worthwhile upgrades we did decide to do. So.
Well, we're hot rodders, so like, why are we going to leave anything stock when it's cheap to do like some small upgrades? So I was thinking the LS3 intake valve, because it's hollow, it's light, and why not? Right? It's readily available.
Sense.
And then we would just do an Lsx spring kit, because we can get a little bit of added spring pressure. Is it going to change the world? No, it's not going to change the world. You're not going to put a big cam in it. Right. You'll never see a big cam. It might just see some boost. So this way, we're going to fix it. We're going to make it a little bit better because, because we're there.
And here they are, all new and improved and fresher than ever. So they got all those broken exhaust studs out. I did go for the stronger springs and the LS3 intake valves. I wanted to future-proof this a little bit. It's always when you're in there. It's like the heads off, why not? I didn't go for the porting because I'm not putting a cam in this thing. I'm not going for like power, but in the event that this somehow maybe ends up with boost on it, I'm not planning anything. I'm really not, but you know how it goes. I want to at least have the valve springs done so we get some more RPM out of it, and have the lighter LS3 valves in there anyway. Because one of them was shot from the valve seat collapsing. So I figured we got to replace one. Let's just throw 8 LS3 valves in there. I can't even tell which one had the valve seat replaced either. Like everything just looks so fresh and new. because they vapor hone them. So it gets all that scale and all like the oil buildup and crap that you get in the ports. All that stuff just gets blasted away. But let's go ahead. I guess we'll start getting the block cleaned up, get everything kind of prepped. Then we could drop our lifters in, and then it'll be time to get the heads on. Of course I didn't bring any picks. Huh. That kind of sucks, huh? Picks. Things like that. Petrified. These are a little hot dog down a hallway, if you know what I mean. So this fits. That is correct. Now I will refrain from using the cookie disc on the aluminum block. This was a regular, iron block LS truck motor. Like the Tahoe has. I just whiz away on this thing. Who cares? But, I mean, especially the head gasket surfaces, you don't want to do that with the aluminum. Even those rubber little finger discs can be a little aggressive too, and they actually do leave scratch marks. So take a look at this, a little Scotch-Brite and a little caustic Walmart brake cleaner. Takes that crap right off. All right, so there we are, all cleaned up. Unfortunately, I completely forgot about the damn dowel pins. I left them in the heads, and Head Games must have them. They probably pulled them out when they milled them. So I just ordered some from Summit, overnighted them. Hopefully I have them for tomorrow. However, in the meantime, let's get the lifters installed. Now for these, I did decide to go with the traditional LS7 lifter, if I can find them. Here we go. I got this kit from Brian Tooley. It comes with new lifter trays. And then our lifters. Didn't open these yet. And like if you're doing a DOD delete or like a cam swap, this is pretty much the go-to for that. We recommend you check the rollers, blah, blah, blah. I'm not gonna do any of that. Come in a nice little package. I think, yeah, they got some oil in there, but what I'm gonna also do is come in and dump these just in like a plastic container and just dump a bunch of oil in them just to kind of soak them a little bit. Well, after reading that little instruction printout that came with the lifters against my will, the instructions actually say you just pour oil in here. I think that's what I did when I put these in my Camaro in the 6.0. And we'll just load these up one at a time, and we could drop the whole assembly in the motor. I don't know if you guys can actually see this, but there's like an indent in the block, so these can only go one way. Get the tray lined up with that indent. And just like that, we can slip the whole assembly down. Where'd the grass come from? Yeah, probably the rag that I threw in the grass, that I then picked up from the grass to wipe my hands, just to throw down in the grass again. Funny thing is, I came here just to do this. Like, this is why I pulled the motor apart. Like, and why I bought it. I'm like, oh, it's probably just lifters. I mean, I knew it could be something else, and like, $2,000, you know, even with the fees. I mean, it's totally worth it. Parts alone, even though I was just gonna part this out, you can make that money back pretty friggin' easily, especially on an Escalade. But here we are. This thing, if it was just a lifter, these would have been in here months ago, and this thing would have been up and running already. But of course it wasn't. All right, so it is the next morning, and FedEx friggin' delivered, man. Literally, they dropped these things off at 9:30 in the morning. So we're ready to get those heads on. So we got some nice fresh head gaskets. Got our dowel pins. And, of course, we got some nice fresh head bolts. No, I did not go with studs. Now that I'm thinking about it, I did the valve train upgrades. If I really was thinking of throwing boosts at this, maybe I could have put head studs on it, but oh well, we'll be fine. We'll try pushing the limits of the factory head bolts. All the sloppy guys are probably laughing at me. I'm here contemplating whether or not I should put studs on my potentially low boost Escalade. All right, so before we pop these on, I'm gonna give you guys a very, very good piece of advice you have probably never heard anywhere before. Put things on the way you took them off. When it comes to the cylinder heads, they're not, you could reverse them. The left side could go on the right side could go on the left side. It's not gonna hurt anything, it doesn't matter. They're the same head. However, what does matter is the holes in the front for the steam vent tube. So you see on this head, we have a hole there, and that's where that tube connected. And it had a rubber hose coming off of it that like teed into the radiator or something. And on this head, you can see we have the threads, but there's a plug. So if you take these off, you got to make sure you line those holes, those steam vents, back on the right side of the engine. I made this mistake on my Tahoe. I pulled these off. I pulled the Tahoe's heads off. When I put it back together, I had the holes for the steam vent in the back. I torqued the heads down. Everything was already done. So what I had to do then was come in the front. I had to drill out those plugs so I get the steam vent tube back on, and then I had to go and get just an aftermarket screw-on plug, and they needed 2 of them for the back because I put the heads on backwards. Like I said, it doesn't matter, like everything is gonna flow correctly. It's just when it comes to the steam vent orientation, that's where you gotta make sure you get right. Come on in there, get in your home, little buddy. That was extremely uneventful. We'll just kind of zip these down. We'll get the other side on. And we'll torque both sides down together. Oh no, you've got to be kidding me. No, maybe? Oh, dude, these are way too long. Don't the lower ones take short bolts? Every time I put heads on one of these things, I always do the same thing too. I could have sworn, maybe I'm thinking of the studs. I could have sworn some of the bolts were different lengths. Yeah, well, you know what? Let's just try to send them home and see what happens. They got a long way to go on the bottom before they get home. They're still going. I don't know, man. This doesn't seem right. Let me double check. Freaking Rock Auto. Cylinder head bolt. No, man, they're all the same length. Did you hear that? What is in there? Oh boy, did I ever make a friggin' boo-boo. This is why you don't rush when you're doing this kind of thing. I just want to get the heads on this thing and get this done so badly. So yeah, what you just saw, good news is the head bolts are correct. I thought they'd be too long. They are not. These motors, they have weird head bolts. Like some, I don't know between generations, but I know some of them got like short bolts on the end. I think on some motors, the lower ones are shorter, or the upper, I don't know. Between the Gen 3 stuff, the Gen 4, and then working on the Trans Am, there's a lot of weird head bolt stuff going on, which is why I second guessed myself. That's not the problem. The problem is I completely friggin' forgot about blowing the water and the coolant out of the head bolt holes, which is a crucial step before you torque anything down, because when you pull the head off, the coolant kind of drips out and goes everywhere. Plus, this thing's been sitting around getting water in it, kind of in the back a little bit from when it rains. I just want to get the heads on. I completely forgot to do it. I don't have compressed air here. And I started tightening that bolt down, and then it popped and released because chances are it probably may have cracked the block. So what happens is if you have water in those holes and you go to tighten that bolt down, the water's not going to compress. There's nowhere to go. So eventually, if it doesn't blast past the threads, it's going to split something open. Now, I don't see anything externally I don't see any water kind of dripping down like outside. There's still water in the hole, so I don't know. My biggest concern is when we go to, if we're even going to be able to get that bolt torqued down, if the threads are potentially damaged or if there's a crack where it's split, the bolt's not going to tighten. If we could get past that, we're running this. All right, so I got to go find some compressed air right now. I think I'm going to go grab my old compressor that I have at the garage, because I brought that big Cobalt one over there that I used to have here, and we'll just spray all the holes out, try to torque everything down, and hope for the best. All right, so I have returned with some compressed air. Let's see what we find, shall we? So now this is what I should have did and completely forgot to do. Kind of blow them all out. However, see those lower ones? They have the most. What I'm going to do is, you see here, a good hole that I didn't potentially break. That holds pressure. What about our questionable hole? Now, which one was it? I think, was it that one or the first one there? A lot of coolant. I think that one's holding. I blew it out. Look at the bubbles. Damn. Watch the bubbles. So she blew right through into the coolant passage. All right, this isn't terrible. With some goop, some RTV on the bolt, maybe we could save this. I'm gonna just blow everything else out and go from there. I mean, I don't know how far down that goes in the coolant passage before we hit the oil. I'm hoping it just kind of blew out. I don't know, man. It's gonna be hard though. That's just, it's like never ending coolant. It just keeps filling itself up. Let's just hope the friggin' bolt tightens. I'm gonna go finish blowing the rest of these out. Let's get this out of the way for take 2, for act 2. You ever have a day where it's like, I probably shouldn't be working on cars today? Something is telling me not to work on cars today. All right. Block's clean. A couple of these are missing sealant, so because I threaded them in already, I'm just gonna friggin' give them a little RTV in the same spot where the sealant used to be. Our problem child is definitely getting a lot of sealant. Give her some goop. That's the problem one. Good. So if these random specs I found off of Google are correct, we're doing all the big bolts, bolts 1 to 10, 22 foot-pounds, then 90 degrees, then 70 degrees. So it's like I need maybe an extension with a short 15. Yes, perfect. 10, man, now the fun part. We gotta do 60 degrees, all right? Same sequence, no, same sequence 90 degrees. Here's the problem. Why is this being stupid? We got 90 out of it. Hit the power button to reset it. I figured out how to use my torque wrench. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I do that all again at 70. I really need a 1/2 inch one of these. One, I am out of shape. Success. I just hope it doesn't leak. Oh, I gotta get in there for this one. Good enough. Good. One down, one to go. Now we just throw these little guys in here. At least at that side, I'm gonna be, I don't know, it's probably gonna be worse. Pulling towards myself instead of pushing. I don't know. Oops. I'll spare you the pain for that. Sights, I'm not sparing you anything. My pain is your pain. Now, if there's anything at all you could take from this video, I would say, where the hell did my hammer go? Yeah, if there's anything you take from this video, I'd say don't be stupid. And it's very difficult to not be. Especially me, I am a very, very impatient person. Extremely impatient. Like when I set my sights on something, I want it now. I want it done. So sometimes you just gotta take a breath. Make sure, you know, what did I do? For instance, I made sure the lifters were installed before putting the heads on. That's also not a mistake you want to make. Although it wouldn't be as bad. You'd have to get another set of head bolts because they're apparently torque to yield, so they'd be all stretched. But honestly, I'd probably rather have to deal with that than what I just did with that friggin' coolant passage and that bolt. But just make sure you blow out your bolt holes. Blow out your bolt holes. Just gently, just kind of get her in there. Get the dowel pin aligned. One, two. There you go. That fits like crap. What the? There it is. On my sweatshirt. Yes, I did. Okay, you couldn't hear anything I was saying. Had to go for a bit of a costume change. That's all I was saying. It's like freaking 70 degrees out. Now it's time to torque. Yeah, set this thing down so it calibrates. All right, we're still on 70. Remember what I said before about being some days where you shouldn't be working on cars? It's like the weather is telling me, stop working on this stupid thing. Go do something with your life. Oh, you're gonna be fun to get to 70, I can already tell. One more pass. I'm putting a glove on because I could see myself punching a cylinder head. You know what? I take back what I said about you, number 7. You were probably one of the easiest ones to tighten. Didn't register for the first half of that turn. Well, now we're just guessing it. Give her a little more of that. And maybe we'll give her a little more of that. That's probably around 70, right? Who the hell knows? I'm just gonna try to get one side hooked because that'll hold the whole thing up. Oh, man. Come on, baby. Just gotta get one in here just to hold it. Well, that was pretty damn uneventful, huh? Crap. There's supposed to be a plug. Also, when the heads were done, I should have took all this stuff out before I dropped them off. So like I said, these heads can be switched left to right. There's like no actual left and right head. So they have coolant ports. Well, not ports. Threaded holes for the coolant temperature sensor because it goes over there. That means that head has the same exact hole in the same exact spot, which normally has a plug in it. But the plug is gone, and I do not have it. So, these old heads, I would have took the plugs out of her heads and stuck them in the 243s I put on it. Well, the 799s I put on it. So I'm probably just gonna run to the parts store, get a second coolant temp sensor, and just screw it in there to plug the hole. I don't really know what else to do. Sounded like I even know the thread pitch, so I can just get a plug for it. Probably look it up, but that's a little too much work for my taste. So here's the coolant temp sensor. This is the new one I picked up for the main sensor, but I'm just gonna go grab another one of these. Actually, I'm gonna put this one back there now, just so I don't forget about it. And then after I get a little more done on this, I'll run and go grab another one so we can use it as the actual coolant temp sensor. Because even when I get a plug for this, I'm gonna need a friggin', I'm gonna need like a crush washer, which I don't have. So better off just getting a friggin' sensor. Now it's probably gonna be a good time to get the dipstick back in and the spark plugs, and at least that rear spark plug wire. Pop these guys in. Oh, let's at least pop the one in the back in. It is started. That's half the battle. I have to pull this thing off, but I don't know. I guess I could pry it off. I've tried prying them off in the past, and you think they're just going to rip right off, and then there's one spot in the back that you just can't get off, and then it's like, why did they even bother trying? I should have just left it half kind of hanging on, because now it's really just hanging on by a thread. But that thread is still strong enough where you can't actually rip it off of the manifold. So now you're going to have even more of a friggin' vibration-y rattle than when you started with. That's usually how it goes. So for plug wires, I decided to pick up some cheapy Amazon just to try them out. I got some JDM speeds because everybody knows the Escalade is quite the JDM vehicle, and they actually look pretty damn good. Like, I don't know how much of that is actual just like shielding and how much of it's wire, but these babies are thick, so we'll get them popped in. At least I'm gonna pop it in on that one in the back that's kind of a pain to get to, and then we'll get the dipstick in, and once we get the valve covers on, we'll throw the rest in. But these look pretty good. I'll link them down below. Okay. It's all about the feel. Where the hell is it? Where the hell is it? There we go. Ooh, nice satisfying click. All right, that's good to go. Let's find that dipstick now. You can see why I did that, because it is a friggin' pain trying to get to that wire with that dipstick installed. So I think I'm gonna take a break. I gotta go to the coolant temp sensor, and I have some assembly lube at the garage. I just want to throw that on top of all the valves and on the push rods as I drop them in, just so everything, it's gonna take some time for the lifters to pump up. I wanna make sure I have, some kind of lube on that stuff. I mean, we have a new water pump going on. I gotta tighten this front bracket. Intake is nothing. There's really not much left to freaking do. We should be starting this thing. Should be starting it today. Just I'll give all these a little bit. I could use some mixing, huh? Oof. Oops. And we'll get the other side. Now, something to know on these Gen 4 motors, the intake valves are offset. So if you look at the rockers, that's an intake rocker, that's an exhaust rocker. So intakes are offset, exhaust is straight. You'll know when you go to put them on, you'll see that if you have them wrong, the rocker isn't going to be sitting on the valve. It's going to be like sitting on the retainer. You can see how that's supposed to line up. Angled one on the intake, straight ones on the exhaust. That's for Gen 4. Gen 5, I think, is the same. The Gen 3s, like the 5.3 and the Tahoe, I believe all of those are straight like that. They're not offset. Like I said with the head bolts, there's just weird, stupid little changes like that throughout the years that'll really mess you up if you don't know about it. These all get 22 foot-pounds as well. Now I know this stuff looks grungy and disgusting. I'm not cleaning it. Like, I'm gonna just hit it with brake clean. Give it a little wipe down because I'm changing these gaskets, but this is all gonna be done like in the detailing. I got a few more videos on this thing for you guys. We're gonna clean the hood, we're gonna clean the inside, clean the outside, change some stuff, kind of refresh it. And all this crap will get taken care of then. I just cut the camera because I'm putting the other side on and there's no point to show you guys both. And I dropped the friggin' socket in the damn intake port. Remember what I said about some days it just feels like you're not supposed to be working on cars? What do we got here? You son of a bitch. I think a giant leaf fell in this one. Yep. Remember what I said about some days you just shouldn't be working on? I'm about to just try to mash this son of a bitch up. Oh, I think I just broke the oil tube. Remember what I said about some days? It's a leaf. She'll fart it out. I gotta go find a magnet though. The socket's a problem. I might as well finish what I came here to do. Oh wait, no, the socket I need is in the port. Okay. I guess I'm looking for a magnet. Can't believe I actually found one. Make sure this stupid thing isn't gonna break off in there. Well, camera's already rolling, might as well show you. Yeah, I guess we could tighten this thing first. I loosen the one on the bottom? I don't think I did. You know, if I don't check the lower one, it's gonna be loose. Nope, not loose. So unfortunately, I do not have the bolts to bolt that ground on or to bolt the ground on the front of the engine. I had them in the Tahoe because I've been bringing my tools back and forth. I don't know where they went. I have a bunch of random hardware at the garage. It's not really a big deal, but that intake's not going on until I get that wire on the back. So let's finish up today. We'll get the coils on. We can get the wires in. Maybe we'll get the water pump on. I don't trust myself. Plus, I think it's going to rain tomorrow. With that all sealed up, get back to work here. I have some nice fresh powder coated coil brackets somewhere in my storage unit. They will eventually probably make their way onto this thing. I believe it is time for our JDM ass wires. Nice, they come with the little heat shields too. It's a little long, huh? That one's pretty close to the friggin' steering column. I'm just gonna twist them up. That's gonna chafe against the AC lines and cause misfires in the future. Mark my words. This stupid ass thing. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not digging the JDM lifestyle. They look ridiculous. Like, look at the ones that were on there. Like, they're just way too long. I don't know why. They were spec'd to fit this truck. Yeah, those just fit so much friggin' better. So the original ones that were on here, they're in good shape, the Delphi. So I'm just gonna pull these off because they look a little stupid. Not only that, they're gonna be rubbing and everything. That one's almost touching the steering shaft. That one's like crammed against the AC line and the firewall. And yeah, I'll just throw them in the pile, save them for something else. And that was all she wrote. I lost all of my footage from here, the 38-minute point, to the end of the video that was at around an hour and 10 minutes. We got the Escalade running. It ran really, really good. We took it on a test drive. It drove, past tense, drove really, really well. The transmission was buttery smooth. The engine was like whisper quiet. There was no weirdness going on with the head bolt thing that I messed up. Like, nothing was leaking internally or anything. From what I can tell, the oil looked good. Did an oil change on it. And yeah, on the test drive, all was well. I did realize that the alternator was bad. And for some reason, the pulley was completely seized up. So I had to go put a new alternator on it. We went on the test drive and everything seemed good. Now, I lost the footage from all that stuff. I did a stupid thing where I undid my transfer after I edited everything, And because my SD card wasn't installed, it just nuked all of those files. So unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff missing. However, the good news, at least for you guys, it broke down. So we get to fix it and do another first startup and then take it on another test drive. Well, here we are in the Escalade. Stuck on the side of the road because the transmission freaked out on the highway. It has no forward gears. You rev the shit out of it, it goes forward a little bit, but we are stuck on the side of the highway. Yep, this is like the worst spot to be in because the shoulder is so freaking narrow too. I just had to call 911 because the tow service doesn't take you off the highway. So now we're just gonna watch traffic here, whiz by, and we'll see what time we actually get home. Well, looks like a trans line pissed out somewhere. And here's where we are. So I got it towed back. There is transmission fluid everywhere, just all along the side of the truck, the back. The funny thing is when this happened, there was absolutely no smoke, nothing. I didn't even know it lost transmission fluid. I was driving down the highway. It just started acting weird, kind of slipping. I pulled over, and then I sat there idling for like 10 minutes because I didn't know that it lost transmission fluid. I knew it was acting like it had no transmission fluid, but I checked it 5 minutes before I left work. 5 minutes of driving. 5 minutes ago, the fluid level was perfect. So I just figured it was something in the transmission that failed. So I don't know if I did extensive damage to the transmission, possibly, but I do know I didn't cause this mess. So I didn't touch any of the transmission stuff. And I just came in here this morning to check this out. And if you look down here, if you can see, it's super dark. Right there. That silver fitting, that's where the transmission line is supposed to plug into the radiator. You can see there is no line plugged into the radiator. And if we look in the front of the grill here, where the cooler is, there is, come on, that clip, these lines are very sketchily installed. The clips aren't seated all the way. Whoever put these transmission lines in did an absolute hack of a job. They didn't put a clip in the lower line, which is why that one blew out. They used like hose clamps and did some kind of hackery under here. Because remember, when we checked this thing over, if you guys saw that video, I noticed this, how we have like a worm clamp on the trans line. That isn't supposed to be there. That's supposed to be pressed on like that. And then if you look over here, it looks like somebody hacked all this up and made a flap to slip the lines in. So they probably just took the press fitting off of that. I don't know what they did just to get it to fit easier and put a worm clamp on there. But that's not the part that failed. The part that failed is the other end of that hose where it goes into the transmission because they didn't put a freaking clip on the line. Now, I looked into transmission lines. They're like $150 for all 3 hoses. I'm not spending that much money on this crap. I spent enough money as it is. So I got some new clips. I got some hose. We're going to replace that kind of sketchy hose that they put in there with the worm clamps. I'm going to use some fuel injection clamps. And then we're going to reconnect the part that blew out with a clip. And then I think I'm going to try to pull the grill and make sure all this stuff is seated correctly. That goes into the cooler because I don't trust that either. I'm also going to check the top here. I want to pull the cover off of that, make sure that top line is seated correctly because I don't know what the hell they did when they put these lines in. I was so pissed when I lost all that stuff. I spent like 3 hours editing everything from 38 minutes on just to lose it immediately. And there was a lot of good stuff in there. Like we got the oil changed. We mostly ran into like stupid problems, which was actually pretty damn funny. Like for instance, the tent tried to fly away when I was underneath the car and I needed to hold it down with my legs as I was changing the oil because the wind picked up and we were like in the middle of getting a friggin' monsoon as I was getting ready to start this thing up. Just a lot of stuff. It's like this thing just didn't, it fought me going together. Like, I don't know why. Does it want to live? I don't know. But I know these clips are going to fight me now too because this looks like an absolute pain in the ass. Let's just start easy with the top one. Ah, the top one has a clip in it. Look at that. Make sure this stupid thing's seated. I might actually, if I take the air box out, let's do that. I think it'll be easier to get to it. I did realize in the lost footage that this has like a K&N filter in it, which is kind of cool. I can lube that, clean it and lube it, re-lube it. Let's see, so here's the, why is this like this? What is this hacky ass crap? So here's the line that flew out. And this is supposed to be one solid line. Like, this was totally hacked together. Like, I don't know. I mean, it didn't fail here, and it's not like this is under pressure, so I'm just gonna put a better hose on here with better clamps. And we're just gonna run it this way. And I might, if this thing doesn't fight me anymore, we're gonna, you know, we're gonna run it, we're gonna detail it. I'm gonna put some miles on it. Maybe I'll splurge and get some nice fresh trans hoses for it, but right now it hasn't behaved nearly good enough to be deserving of fresh hoses. All right, we have a clip in the bottom. So now, before I clip this on, I'm gonna pull this hose out with the worm things, because I don't even know if they use the correct hose. It looks like it's kind of bloated. Yeah, they ripped the freaking crimp fitting apart. I mean, come on, look at this. I don't have a flaring tool, so I'm just kind of trying to ream this out a little bit, just to kind of give it something, some sort of an edge, so when the clamp is on here, it's going to be less susceptible of possibly blowing off. These aren't high pressure lines anyway, but, and this isn't the part that failed. I'd rather be safe than sorry. I think that'll be fine. All right, so now I'm just gonna clamp it onto the hacked up line under the truck. We'll pop this in. I already got a new clip in there, and then I'm gonna pull the grill and see if I can see what's going on with that weirdness where they go into the cooler. Make sure those are seated. Clip it in here first, and then I'll make the connection underneath. Nice, satisfying click. Yeah, man, that shouldn't have came out. There's no reason for that to come out. Unless they just didn't put a clip in there. Making sure that's not coming out. All right, I think we can put the air box back in. Just transmission fluid under it, but whatever. That's the job for future detailer, Matt. Is this all part of the bumper? This has to separate. I'm not taking the bumper off for this. Well, I'm giving up on the grill. I'm going to try removing this top piece and then I get my arm down in there. Maybe. So now I can at least get my hand in here, look through here. That's like, that's going to be a bitch, man. Oh, okay. That one's pretty forgiving. In case you're wondering, that footage I lost, this is pretty much all it consisted of, was me fighting with this stupid ass thing. Yeah, there's a bunch of crap in there. That's not going in. There's just like a bunch of powder and crap in there. So I'm going to do my best to wash that out. And we'll pop it back in, and hopefully it'll be time to fill it. We got our clip in the bottom, put the clip back in the top. Got our clamps installed. I do want to do something with this. I gotta see how this thing's gonna act. If there's any damage to the transmission. But I don't know. Maybe I could find some cheap lines off of Rock Auto, because Autos I wanted, like, for the 3 lines, the 2 big ones and the 1 small, like, auxiliary one, they wanted $150, which is crazy just for stupid lines like that. But then again, I don't know. While I'm in there, I can also go ahead and put a larger cooler in there. That'll give me a reason to change the lines. But let's top this off. I think there's something on this stick. It's not bone dry. And I also picked up some special Seuss. Just because I really didn't want to drain the transmission on this thing. Like, it's got 150K. It's working great when I test drove it. So, yeah, we're going to put some Lucas in it. I don't even know how much I've lost. I got 2 jugs, so I got 2 gallons and a bottle of Lucas. That'll at least get us like on the road, and then if I got to top it off later, once we get some heat in it. I could just pick some more up. I'm gonna dump the Lucas in here and kind of swoosh it around, because this stuff is like freaking jelly. It never wants to go down the tube. And this is not so much, oh, I may have damaged the transmission. It's more like just preventative, just because it's got a lot of miles on it. This alternator was not cheap either. 180 bucks for an alternator from Duralast AutoZone. However, though, it is apparently lifetime, so I shouldn't have to buy another alternator for this thing. At least not as long as I have it. All right, here's the first startup for you guys. I'm going to be running around checking for transmission fluid leaks. I mean, listen to how nice she runs. Running on all 8 cylinders, no more tapping. Like my clamps are holding up. Really looking good in there. Let's see if it moves or lurches or does anything. Ooh! We've got movement back. I don't know if we're going to be able to get a reading on the stick because there's going to be so much fluid in the tube. It's all right, it might be overfilled. Maybe we didn't lose as much as I thought. I'm pretty sure it pumped it all out though. I'll take the jug and the funnel with me. I guess let's start putting around with it, see what happens. Yeah, so I think the next step is going to be, let's try to find a car wash. Because this thing is friggin' coated. The running boards, the front tire, the back tire, the rims. Luckily you missed the brakes. It's friggin' everywhere. Well, she moves and she seems to have at least some of the gears. Haven't taken it on the highway yet. I'm gonna go grab some lunch first, and then we'll hit the car wash. Then maybe we'll hit the highway. But I mean, I gotta try to figure out everything that I said the first time in the footage that got deleted. But to start off, we still got service stability tracking. We got to check engine light on. I have yet to check those codes. I did remember to bring the scanner now, so I'm gonna throw that on at some point. We'll see what it says. But I'm pretty sure this thing is gonna need front shocks. It rides, the Tahoe rides better. The Tahoe rides better. Like, it's very it's got that kind of coil-over bounce to it. The front shocks, like the whole truck just dips down real bad when you go over like driveways, like turn into driveways or hit like manhole covers, like dips in the road. And I saw that they were pretty wet, so they need replacement. The back ones, the air part of them is functioning fine because the compressor comes on, it never droops down or does anything weird. Like, it'll come on for a few seconds when you start the truck and that'll be it. So you might be able to get away with keeping the back ones. The fronts, though, they're totally shot. That's probably why we have the service traction control and everything on. But we'll scan it. We'll see what the codes say. As for the engine, man, everything is like friggin' mint with the engine. It sounds incredible. Even the exhaust has a little bit of a burble to it. I don't know if you can hear it. Like, you can hear the exhaust inside this thing. There's a nice little V8 growl to it. And oil pressure, everything looks great. Let's see here. We got 33 PSI idling here. Coolant's been great. No overheating, nothing like that. Like I said, I don't see any coolant making its way into the oil as of yet. Medium Baconator combo with a Coke. There's also a rub. When you're turning, it sounds like something's rubbing. And I looked and it looks, for some reason, it looks like the wheels, the tires are rubbing on just slightly on the inside of the fender liner, which is weird. It has the correct tire size on it, but I'm wondering if, just because it's an all-terrain tire, the tread's a little higher than it would be normally, and that's what's causing it. Not gonna lie, the seats are also a little bit uncomfortable. Like, they're in good shape, but they hurt my back a little bit. I got some back issues, and I think Tahiti's might be more comfortable. However, where this thing wins is the cup holders. The cup holders in this thing actually hold the friggin' cups in place. Not like the Tahoe where they just flop around and fall out. I'm actually, if all goes well with this thing, I'm gonna try to do, I'm gonna do a review of both of them, the GMT 800 and 900, and tell you my like honest thoughts, what I think about them. They're both my vehicles, so I'm gonna tell you which ones I think features I think suck and which features I think are great between the two models. Definitely leave a comment. Let me know if you want to see something like that. We're gonna just head on down to the car wash, get this thing, kind of get the transmission fluid off of it, and then we'll just putt around again and check that transmission fluid, make sure it's good, and then when we call it quits, maybe we'll throw the scanner on it and we'll see what codes it has for the suspension and the check engine light. Everything feels good though. I mean, like the alignment is like dead straight. The steering feels tight. It feels great. Aside from the wonky kind of hard suspension, like even the drivetrain, the transmission's friggin' smooth as hell. The engine sounds incredible now. I really don't have any complaints. It's just been just kind of stupid little crap like that where other people have had their hands in the cookie jar messing with the transmission lines. I'm just hoping there's not more of that going on. Another thing is the air conditioning. It doesn't work. No air conditioning. It blows, but it's not hot. It's not cold. So yeah, we're going to be addressing that at some point because it is starting to get warm out. Oh, the suspension's so freaking hard. Another thing I noticed, being I did drive this thing before, the transmission thing, the right mirror, it doesn't tilt up or down for some reason. You can adjust it left to right. The mirrors fold fine, but you don't have up and down tilt at the glass. The driver's seat also seems to be a little weird. I had to turn off all the auto exit crap and like seat recall because it just, no matter where you position the seat, you hold down the button, you set your position, it always moves like next time you get in the car. So I turned all that stuff off. I don't know, I gotta look in the manual. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but that stuff always seems to get wonky with age. I know some of you are probably going crazy that I'm getting a million swirl marks in my paint, but when you don't have time, you have to like choose the lesser of two evils. You can either drive around with transmission fluid on your paint or a bunch of bird crap that's going to eat through it, or you go through this, get that crap off, maybe get some swirls or something, but at least you know you got the filth off that's going to really damage the paint. Plus we're going to be detailing this thing, I'm going to be buffing it out, and it's white, it's not going to really show much anyway, so that's my defense. I don't even know how much this is going to get off. Like I don't know how well a car wash can like take grease off or oil, but it's got to be better than it was. I don't know how traffic's going to be, but let's try to rip this thing a little on the highway. Transmission feels great now, man. Oh yeah, there's a butt ton of traffic going the other way. So we got a little room to play, but floor it. She's all good. She held her valves in. Trans stamps 144, 142. Yeah, I mean, I think the major thing it needs now is the those shocks. They got to be done. They're absolutely terrible. So if we take care of that, that should get rid of the StabiliTrak crap. I don't know. I still got to see if there's any other codes in there, because I thought we had a code for the, was it the air compressor? When we checked this thing when I first got it, the compressor's working though. Like it self-levels and everything. When you turn the ignition on, you hear the pump run a few times for like a few seconds. So the compressor is working and it's not squatted or like doing anything weird. Ah, God, the shocks are shot in this thing. Yeah, the Tahoe definitely rides better than this, as of right now. Plus those 22-inch wheels aren't helping anything either. That on top of having blown out ass shocks. Bad combination. So before we take a walk around this thing, I'm just gonna plug this in, and I wanna see what we got for codes here. I'm wondering what that check engine light could be for. I forget, we had codes for the suspension when I first, looked this thing over. I forgot what they were though. I'm just gonna try to take a screenshot of them and I'll kind of look them up later. We have one electronic suspension fault. That's weird, only one. The thing's like flipping out over it. Let's see what our engine codes are. Brake switch circuit 1. Just weird. Manifold map sensor circuit low voltage. I'm pretty sure I know I plugged the map sensor in. Let me wait right here. The map sensor was not plugged in. It's running friggin' great. Like it was positioned, but it wasn't fully clicked on. Okay, so I guess we can clear these guys. Let's see what the transmission code is for. Transmission fluid pressure, circuit low. So, okay, hopefully that's when it dumped all its fluid out. Okay, now lastly, we want to see what that friggin'... We got memory seat module codes. Maybe that's why the stupid memory seat's flipping out. Lumbar short circuit to ground. Yeah, that makes sense. The lumbar support doesn't friggin' work. Lumbar horizontal position sensor. Yeah, so the in and out doesn't work, and sure enough, there's a code for it. I don't know how we would fix that, but it's nice to know we can see there's a code. All right, let's see. We also have passenger door switch. We got 5 codes there. Mirror motor, vertical circuit, short to ground. Like I said, the mirror doesn't tilt up and down. Hey, what do you know? Everything's lining up. Front door motor, calibration not learned. I don't know what the hell that means. Okay. Well, forget about that. Lastly, let's see our suspension code. 1 fault in suspension. Level control air pressure sensor circuit malfunction. I gotta look that up. It doesn't say anything about the shocks. Because on these, the back is air for level control with an electronic shock. The front just has the electronic shocks. There's no air in the front. But it's not, I mean, the shocks are blown out. You'd think it would tell me there's a code for the front shock. I'm just gonna take a screenshot of this. I'll look into this later. But I'm just gonna clear everything for now. Let's see what we got for transmission fluid. You're probably not able to see that. It's like just about dead between high. So I'll take that. Milkshake check. Our coolant level's still good. No milkshake. What I like to see. I mean, check it out. She is just happily putting right along. Transmission clip. This is going to be something I always check now. Every time I'm under the hood, I'm going to be like, is the clip still there? I'm going to see if I can source some shocks. Maybe I can get a sponsor to get some new mag shocks for the front, and I'll take it from there. We're going to do some more stuff on this thing, repair-wise. I want to do the detailing. That's going to be its own thing, but we still need to do some repairs. I might do brakes. I want to loom this crap up. I don't know. I'm going to put some miles on it, see how it treats me, and then we'll take it from there. But I mean, look, it's up and running. It sounds incredible. I may have spoke too soon. I hope that's residual fluid making its way out. That's got to be residual fluid, right? I don't see any leaks in the grill. We'll call that residual fluid. But anyway, the Escalade's up and running. Next video, we're going to start taking care of the detailing, and let's get shocks by then. Then we'll go ahead and we'll start doing some more mechanical stuff to it. But for now, she's a runner. She's actually a runner.